GSTL Season 1. NS Hosa. Axiom-Acer. MVP. FX Open. LGIM. Azubu. Prime. Startail.
Welcome back to the GSTL. Prime having a rough start. Marine King dropping down.
Marine King losing the first match after he lifted his command center and flew it down to the natural expansion where we have the mineral patches on Icarus. Now the Prime team has sent out their Protoss player. They have sent out Creator.
Yep. You know, Prime has been a little bit predictable as of late. You know, usually relying on these four players, the three Terrans, Beyond, Marine King, and Maru, and then having Creator. So this is something that Axiom-Acer has probably already considered. But, you know, they got to get rid of Ryung. They've got to stop him. They don't want him to get too many kills. And they also want to be able to defeat him so they can send their Terran players out comfortably, not against somebody who's really good in TVT.
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, I feel the safest spot to send a new player out is always the second. But in the situation that the Prime team finds itself right now, it's very difficult for them to rely on one of the lesser-known players and give them experience. Because if they lose here today, they are already on 3 losses in the GSTL, and then it's going to be very difficult for them to reach the playoffs.
Yeah.
So at this point, Gerard just relying on Creator, and we're going to find out if Creator is able to take Ryung down.
Yeah, you make such a good point about this, sending a new player out, and I guess the reason why they don't do it is because they're not only dealing with a situation where they don't want to be 1-3, but at the same time, they're also up against Ryung, who's a really, really strong player all around, and you don't want to send somebody out who might choke, as we saw yesterday with Sanai. Well, I can understand Gerard's thinking here, but it definitely would have been a good opportunity to send out one of these Zergs.
It's just a situation in the Team League that makes it a bit difficult for them to take that risk. But on the other hand, as we said, Prime definitely a little bit predictable. I mean, they always send out the same players. It's always 3 Terrans, and then there's Creator. Those are the heavy hitters that they have after Boom Boom left the team. So now we have a lot of the players on the Axiom-Acer roster who definitely prepared against Terran a lot. And they will be ready to intercept those guys and take them down. So I want to see what Gerard has up his sleeve. I don't really believe that he's going to use the same roster once again.
Yeah, I think we're eventually going to have to see something different happen here. He's talked a lot in his interviews saying there are other players on the team he wants to show, but they haven't had the opportunity to do it just yet. Let's talk about the map pick here. The map that we have Creator pick is Whirlwind. So he's going to be playing on a very large map, wants to play the late game. And in this matchup is very, very figured out right now. It almost looks the same every time we watch it. It's a Protoss player trying to get those upgrades out, trying to go into Storm and or Colossi, and eventually the Terran player either gets ahead with the Medivacs or pulls their SCVs and goes for an all-in. That's usually how this match has been played.
And with Ryung being such a great player that we've seen several times this season already, it's going to be a very interesting, a very tense game, I feel. We're heading into the match right now here at the GSTL 2013 Season 1. Creator up against Ryung, brought to you by Colored Wolf. To the bottom left of the map, the Protoss player for the Prime team. Their second player, it is
Creator Prime.
I will never forget how Creator gave me his umbrella when it was raining cats and dogs in Seoul. And was like, no, and I forgot mine. And he was like, no, you can have mine, that's fine. We're gonna take the cap anyways. So that was pretty cool. Always remember that. To the top right, we have the Terran player, his opponent, the starting player for Team Axiom-Acer. It is
Axiom Young.
22 years old.
22 and very, very talented. And Ryung has always been one of those players who we've kind of watched grow. He came into Slayers early on, had a lot of potential, did some great Terran versus Terran matches, and really grew as a player. He made it all the way to the round of 4, I believe it was, in that GSL season that was in Vegas. And he's definitely a strong player that you never want to count out. He's already gotten a win this match.
The thing about Creator is also that Creator is 16 years old. That's something that we sometimes forget. We have, of course, Life and Maru, who are like the 2 players that everyone mentions when it comes down to the young players that we have in Korea. but Creator is also only 6 years, so there's a 16 years. There's a 6-year gap between the two of them. Would be really impressive with 6 years to play in the GSL or GSTL. That would be wow. Think about if that kid gets like 18.
Yeah, imagine that, man.
We had Creator so far twice appear in the season. He played against Live on this very same map in the match against Startail, and he lost to the strong Zerg player. The second time he came out was he was a closing player for the Prime team against Inesosa, but Jakji was just too strong for him. This is the third time, and we're going to find out if he can add the first win to his statistics.
Yeah, looks like he's going for that Mothership Core expand, goes into double gas 2 and 2, and like, on a map like this, you know, often see players just skip the Stalker, just go straight into a Mothership Core and a Nexus, try to get that Nexus out as fast as possible, because you never know, you might be facing a command center first. He's not scouting in this case. He wants to get as much minerals as he can, because he knows that it's very unlikely that Ryung goes for a proxy play or some type of really crazy all-in, so he's just going to try to keep that extra probe as his main so he can get the Nexus up a little bit faster.
Yeah. And as we mentioned earlier, this is now one of those scenarios where Plan B comes into play. You know the starting players a few days before the match actually happens, so you always think about, as a coach, what do I do if my player wins, and Plan B, what I do if he loses. So Gerard will probably have talked to Creator already a few days in advance and asked him, hey, listen, if Ryung takes out Marine King, do you feel confident enough again to play against him? And that gave also Creator a bit of a chance to prepare for this specific matchup and this opponent. So if Plan B then suddenly fails, their entire strategy is in shambles. So you have to win this game, I feel. This is one of those... The first two matches, in my personal opinion, are always the most important ones from a tactical point of view.
From a tactical point of view, you're absolutely right, because that's where, you know, your plan falls apart if you're not able to win the second game, at least. Probe comes in here, sees the bunker, doesn't see anything else. Very good catch by Ryung, able to get that. But the build that Creator has chosen is very safe, and he's gone into it with flying colors, no mistakes here, and it's very good against what we have for Ryung. So he's able to get his tech out very, very quickly, very greedily, even getting a robo before his first Stalker. Gets only one sentry. That's all he has to defend against anything that comes his way. Even sending the Mothership Core around the map, too. It looks like probably try to time warp the natural. And also it's going to confirm to him 100% there's a command center there.
Yep. We have the SCV now heading over to the bottom left, so he will get his first scouting information to see what's going on. Rocks are being taken out. And, well, at this point, Creator is not being too aggressive, as we already said. You can be very aggressive these days against Terran players if you want to, but at least the Stalker might be able to shut this SCV scout out. And, yep, does see the expansion, but that's it.
There's the time warp I was talking about, and right when the mule goes down, that's going to be really handy.
Yep. It would actually be smart to just redirect the mule to the left side and find from the mineral patch that is not affected by the time warp.
You're absolutely right. That's something you could definitely do, and this affects 2 mules, so that's going to hurt his income quite significantly. That's a lot of energy, not wasted, but used inefficiently. And Ryung is moving across the map with a small army. Just wants to pressure a little bit, maybe trade for a sentry. He's going to hold the watchtower. The observer will see everything as well as the Phoenix.
He could try to snipe this observer, but yeah, he doesn't realize that it's there, so he doesn't scan. Might also not have the energy at this particular point in time.
Oh, he's trying to intercept the Mothership Core, I think. But Creator is too smart for that. He goes all the way around the south. I think he sees this observer.
Ah, he was already scouted.
Uh-oh.
Spotted. He's gonna lose a lot of Marines here. Oh, but Creator needs to be careful, losing 2 sentries and losing the Stalkers. Yeah. How did that happen? He saw them.
This not well done by Creator, but not Marine King, Ryung making the best of this situation, trying to get every unit he can. Nice micro here. Will he get the last Stalker? Nope. Turned around at the last second there.
I cannot really believe this happened this way. He saw the Marines with his observer. He must have missed it on the minimap. That's the only explanation that I have here.
Yeah, that was...
The force fields were late, the sentries exposed, he took them down, then he loses another Stalker. That could have been a lot better.
He wanted to fight that army on the high ground if he could, and I guess he was looking at something else. He was starting his robotic support bay at that moment, I guess.
The Creator Forges going down now. Creator, a player that against Terran always tries to get his timings right, especially upgrade heavy play is a specialty.
Yeah, Ryung going for a fast +1. We've seen this build come back a little bit more in Heart of the Swarm. So he's going to have that upgrade lead starting out, and he has some aggressive timings with his +1 he can use with some medevacs. On this map, we have seen Pros players take a relatively late third because the medevacs do give them a little bit of trouble with that boosting ability.
+1/+1 has been started. There are the chrono boost that you can expect. Creator going immediately into this upgrade heavy play.
Now the question becomes, does he start range or does he just do the one Colossus into Twilight Council build?
Very true.
He hasn't started Twilight Council yet, so it seems more likely he's going to make a few Colossi first. There it is.
We already have the armory up, so the +2 can be started, and there we have it. Ryang immediately heading into the second upgrade. He also has 2 engineering base now. And the Observer, he tries to find it.
He's going to get it.
Yeah, he's got to get it.
Really nicely done there.
Cornering the Observer, that was good.
But that's like really technical play when you're trying to corner an invisible unit, and the Prospero, of course, is trying to avoid the Marines.
But now he can drop. Now he has the Medivacs out, and this is the time where Creator has to be careful. He doesn't have the Observer in his opponent's main base anymore, so it's going to be really important for Creator to anticipate where the dropships are coming in.
Caldor, I think he might have forgotten combat shields, though. He does not have combat shields. He's not researching it.
That's a very good point. With the +2 attack upgrade already started, it's quite late. Well, he could still go for it, but he does have a lot of resources that he could use.
Yeah, this is really, really going to become important. If he doesn't realize that there's no combat shields when we've got charge out and we've got, you know, one Colossus to help out, this is going to really, really hurt him. I cannot believe he doesn't start it.
And one of the big problems is going to be that we have the Templar Archive now being built, so if Creator is actually getting stormed, there it is. Combat shield. Oh, it's already completed, right? No, he just started it.
Just started it.
Yeah, Legend switched to the taps and I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he started armor for his tanks as well for a moment there and stopped it. I think he was just like, wait, what? Why do my Marines not have combat shield? This really hurts his timing here because he's supposed to have it. He doesn't. And now he's like, well, I could still drop, but it's a little bit more risky. I'm going to lose my Marines a lot faster. This is so important. Oh, it does not finish.
Ah, that is annoying now for Ryang, but he has the SCVs already on the move to the mineral patch, so he can complete the orbital without a problem. And yeah, the Zealot still targeting down the command center, was apparently on a right-click command.
Yeah. You can see he's getting now the proper upgrade for his Vikings, so he can deal with Colossi a little bit better. And adding Hellbats in the mix, we've seen a lot of Terrans start to do this against Colossus because they're so good against Zealots. That's what Blizzard intended when they made the Hellbat.
They are great. They just do so well. We have Storm nearly completed for our Prime player, though. Creator heading into +2/+2, doesn't miss a beat with his upgrades here. Exactly what we would expect from him. But now Ryang in a position where he finally decides to move out. His combat shields are there, and this could do a lot of damage. We didn't really see this heavy commitment to Vikings. He's getting a few, but I don't think that he was really fooled.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's going to need them later, so it doesn't matter that he gets the +1, as when the Colossus switch happens in the late game. If that occurs, it will be useful for him. Really important that Creator has his units in position here. He was a little bit late on moving them over there, but now they're in the right spot. And he looks like he just wants to wait for his Viking upgrade before he attacks. He's hesitating a lot here.
Economy is so much better for Ryang, by the way. He's at 70 harvesters against 58. He has 3 bases that are already mining. The Nexus is just now completing for the Protoss.
Oh, could have caught those probes, but he's going to get some in the natural instead anyways.
Yeah, oh, the entire army is moving to the left.
Excellent storm. Oh.
That storm was exactly what he needed to defend.
Yep. And immediately Ryang turns around. But you're so right about the economy. He's at that third base for so much longer than Creator. Just now has his Nexus. And with a massive SCV lead plus mules, he has an insane mineral income. Later on, this will mean that Creator's army is stronger, though.
And Ryang started with his first upgrade very early in the game. This allows him to already go into the +3 attack upgrade. He's still waiting for the second armor upgrade, but you can see how he will never be far behind his opponent, even if Creator now immediately starts +3/+3 in chrono boosts, which he doesn't. So Ryang in a really good spot. A big problem for a lot of Terran players in the past was that Creator is hitting them with a +3/+3 timing, but against Ryang that just won't work.
Yeah, very true. +3 attack just now started for Creator. Does not start the armor. Despite having enough resources for it. Starts a few Stalkers instead. I think he's very concerned about that SCV pull that might occur at any moment. He wants to be very safe and calculated here.
The Observer gets spotted, he could scan, and he loses another one. Creator is famous for losing Observers. He's losing thousands of them. We casted a few games where he lost 7 and more Observers. I think in one of the games he was in the double digits.
I think one time he lost 12. I think that was the record.
So right now he already lost at least 3.
Really nice pylon placements at the top, by the way, for Creator. This is going to allow him to warp in Zealots to attack any command centers that go up there. It also will help him spot drops. He just has units everywhere on the map. To the south, to the north. No drop is going to go undetected.
That's the one thing where you can really, I mean, if the names were hidden, if you play against a barcode player and he loses like 20 observers, you know immediately, oh, cool, it's Creator.
Yeah. He's making more, though. Starts another observer at this point in time.
He didn't really need the Robo time. He was only going into High Templars. He doesn't add those Colossi. He's now adding the range upgrade for them, so we will see the switch. But up to this point, the Robo time was not all that important to him, so it wasn't a problem for him to replace them.
Remember that Ryung only has 4 ghosts, so he doesn't have a lot of EMPs, and there are so many Temple on the map, 7 of them, all of them very high on energy. Creator a little bit out of position here, though. He has to get back.
Yeah, it's the Photon overcharge. We saw one Storm going down, both fighting now for a good position. The Vikings, of course, trying to take out the Colossus as fast as possible.
Yeah, he's going to get a great position here on the top of the ramp. Creator struggling to get into position now because of the Vikings. Guardian Shield goes up. Ghost gets some excellent EMPs.
And here comes the Storm on the other hand. Storm 1 is good. The second one should follow soon. The Mothership Core is being sniped, but the second Storm hits home. The third is gone, though.
Yeah, this is looking better and better for Ryung. He trades so well here, killing a lot of probes. His EMPs were excellent, and he got onto the high ground. Really, really well done.
Ryung just got such a great position on the high ground, and now he's still doing damage. If he boosts out with those medivacs, he'll be completely fine, and that's what he does right now. Loses 1 or 2. Oh, there we go. Taunts him for a second, but then he gets out of there.
Could have been a little bit better for him at the end, but the setup was good.
And the third base is gone. We have one to the left side of the map, but the Harvester count is really down now for Creator. 44 against 69. The third base to the left is really important for him. If not for this third base, whatever you want to call it, this loss of the Nexus would have been much worse.
Yeah, you're so right. Imagine if Ryung had attacked with that +3 attack upgrade finish. It was almost done, and Creator's upgrades weren't ready yet. Now Creator has a slight upgrade lead for a few seconds. He has 3-3 finish. He did have that, of course, Chrono Boost ability to get ahead now. One Lone Zealot being very annoying over here.
Trying to be a hero. And, well, with all those Marines running in, he'll be from hero to 0 in a second. Boom, down. Fourth base now ready for Ryung, though, and we have now a 4-base Terran against a 3-base Protoss, so time working in favor of the Axiom-Acer plan.
Yeah, he just has the ability to catch up in supply, or not catch up, but further ahead in supply because he didn't have to wait, didn't have to transfer his probes, and he took that engagement pretty cost efficiently. The EMPs and getting that high ground position was so well done.
Creator was just trying to trap Ryung and set up a good flank, but Ryung chose the perfect moment to walk up the ramp, made sure that he didn't take too much damage against potential storms, and then when he had the high ground, it was very difficult for Creator to engage, especially against the EMPs. Did
Another dead observer.
Take out another observer. That's 4 at least.
This probe could make another Nexus. There he does. So Creator is spread a little bit thin here. The army is much better for Ryung, and he's trying to take another Nexus, but he has no choice. He knows Ryung's economy is better than his. He needs to stabilize. The one thing that Creator can hope for is that he takes one good fight, even though he's behind in the economy, then uses that momentum that he gains to just push forward and end the game.
He's going for the second attack upgrade now for the Vikings. He has a decent count out there and is increasing the numbers. We have 2 Colossi, and then... we have actually 3, but now we have more observers being built for Creator. This blocks his robotics for quite some time now. So these losses of observers getting really annoying. He needs vision, but at the same time he wants to have more Colossi out.
Oh, and this is a big problem. He does not have the observer with his army, so great EMPs go down. Only one Templar does not have enough energy for Storm, and it goes down.
He lost all the shields, and this army is just going to melt away. He has no chance here, like ice cream in the sun. This is going to be game.
Yeah. Like ice on a stove. GG.
Ryung snipes the observers of Creator time and time again. The Cloak Ghost completely undetected. Creator runs into the EMPs. The shields are gone, the energy as well. And then the army of Ryung, which was bigger than Creator's in the first place, had no problems at taking this down.
Very much reliant on his Archons in that army. The Archons and his Colossi, and the EMPs were excellent. He knew that he killed all the observers. He also knew he was playing against Creators, so he cloaked his ghosts, ran in, hoped for the best, and got some excellent EMPs. The EMPs changed this game, both at the fight at the third and in that final fight.
The GSTL does not seem to be a good turf for Creator. He's 0-3 now in the GSTL, if I'm not mistaken, and we have now Axiom-Acer up with 2 points. So Plan A didn't work, Plan B failed. What is Gerard going to do now? He has to be a bit desperate here.
This
is 2 strong Terrans, but is he really going to use them?
Exactly. Now he's in a position where he has to send a Terran player out against Ryung. I wonder if Gerard will make a choice that's different than what we expect now, and maybe some of these Zerg players out. Somebody who's really good at Zerg versus Terran. Because sending out, you know, if you send out right now Byun, for example, it makes sense going beyond Ryung, but can Byun beat Ryung in a Terran versus Terran, even if it's his map pick? That's something that Gerard has to now decide.
I have to admit that I'm a little bit disappointed with some decisions these teams make, because in a format, in this all-kill format, you can prepare for a certain opponent. I would really like to see builds that are designed specially to take down one particular opponent, that analyze the build that he's going on a certain map, and that you really try to capitalize on the fact that with a second player you can choose the matchup, you can choose the map, and you have an advantage. The problem with this is that you don't have that much material where you can prepare just yet in Heart of the Swarm, but I would like to see this a little bit more. From like a coach perspective, this is what you have to do.
The way that Gerard made that choice was kind of like a passive snipe, where he's like, well, Creator's really good at this matchup. He's really good at late game. Terrans are struggling with late game. Creator is good with his Forge play. I want to put him on a big map. Hopefully we get cross spawns and he'll just beat him in the late game. There's no snipe all-in strategy. It's just like Creator's good in the late game. I think he can beat him. But I think you're right. Using a Zerg player with an aggressive Roach strategy, for example, or Baneling Bust, could be one way to just get rid of this player. A sniper.
This is just bothering me a little bit for quite some time right now. I would expect a little bit more from a strategic point of view. Back in Warcraft 3, we even did all these things. When I was the manager for Kings and Mouse Sports, we always tried to make sure that we get the right matchups, get the right maps and these things, analyze the style of play. And in my opinion, this doesn't really happen. Think about how many good snipes we had in the second game when the player lost. Not that many.
Not very many at all.
And then, but you can analyze so well, and you can force the matchup and the map on the opponent.
Some teams, you know, just really do not do that type of style. Like, we've seen LGIM and Prime very rarely go for all-ins, but you see other teams, like when Genius was playing for MVP, he would come out and snipe a lot. What if you send Creator out and have him do a Void Rell, and nobody expects Creator to do a Void Rell, and he does a Void Rell, and you play him on a two-player map like Akalon, and you send him out and proxy the Stargate or do a proxy Oracle build? We just don't see strategies like that from Prime.
I just feel that the format lends itself to such a strategy and to such a snipe strategy. But, well, whatever the reason, we have the third player now coming out, and it seems it's going to be Maru.
Maru, very predictable here, going to send out one of their Terrans.
And Maru is the one player where I thought he might not show him if he wants to not rely on the four players again, but I feel with Maru being the third, is there any question that Byun has to be fourth?
In my mind, there's no question.
I mean, Byun is the stronger player from the two of them, I feel. He's streaming a lot these days. He has an incredible record against most top players out there.
He got an all-kill this season as well.
Yeah, I would be surprised to not see Byun as last player, which means, of course, if that's the case, then we don't see a new player for the Prime team. They're relying on the same four players again. Maru is a strong player. Don't want to take anything away from him. He's definitely a very, very strong opponent to face.
Yeah, and he has shown really cool TVT strategies.
But the predictability of Prime is their biggest weakness.
The map that we have here is Akalon Waste's two-player map. So, kind of ironic, I was talking about that a little bit earlier. I would love to see Maru play a very unusual strategy like a Banshee play here on this map to try to throw Ryung off, because if he just plays straight up, I'm not sure he can do it. It's playing a big risk to play against somebody who's so good and so careful in this matchup. He can't really do another Hellbat drop, for example, or do like a Reaper strategy.
Also, don't forget about the momentum that Ryung is just gathering here. He's sitting in the booth and he's just like, okay, bring it. He's waiting.
Yeah.
He's waiting for Maru, and he looks, I don't want to say bored or anything, but I feel he's very confident in his abilities to take another game.
Absolutely. You know, he's probably expecting that he's going to face either Byun or Maru going next, and he's like, yeah, that's what I thought. He's already done his job, so to speak, for the team. He's gotten the first 2 wins. He's messed up Prime's strategy, and now he's just sitting in the booth saying, well, if I beat him, that's great. If I don't, it's unfortunate, but I have so many other players. We have so many different plans, and for Ryung, he already knows, not that there's nothing to lose, but there's not that same level of pressure as there is on Maru right now. Maru's feeling the heat.
Yeah, and it's also awesome for the Axiom-Acer bench. They are sitting there and they see Maru coming out as the third player. So now they are very certain or very confident that they will only face Terran players today. So they can talk about the maps that are left. They can talk about who is going to play second or third if need be. So that gives them all the advantages that we have here.
Maru really needs to come through for his team right now. He's chosen Akalon Waste as the map, a two-player map. Could mean we see an aggressive strategy out of him rather than the late game. Maru also very well known for meching, not only in this matchup, but also in the matchup against Zerg. So we could see something like that from him on this map. It's a good mech map because there's a lot of choke points.
We could really see a very aggressive strategy. It's something that we've seen several times. We've seen double barracks Reaper play. We've seen offensive barracks play proxies. So a lot of things that he could do here, and Maru is definitely one that I would trust in pulling something like this.
He could even do a proxy Marauder build.
Yeah.
I think Ryung is just going to play very safe. I expect like a 1-Rax expand type build from him, maybe even a reactor expand.
We're jumping into the third game of the day in the GSTL 2013 Season 1. Axiom-Acer up against the Prime team, brought to you by Colin Wolf.